Hey guys, welcome. I'm just going to give everyone some time to get situated and join. Hey guys, welcome. I'm streaming this on YouTube, so it started playing. I was like, what is that? Do I have a ghost in the house? All right, cool. I think looks like we have a good amount of people in right now. I know it's people's lunch break, so I want to stay true to time. People are multitasking today. So welcome to our second Rate My Website event. Backed by popular demand. After the first one in November, we had a bunch of people submit their websites, and also members of the society asking for another one. They was chock full of information last time, so I'm really happy we were able to make a second one happen with our fantastic hosts, Sam and Jules. For those of you that don't know me, really quick intro, I'm Aileen. I am Director of Marketing at Cybersecurity by day and co-founder of the Cybersecurity Marketing Society by night/morning before I start my day job. And I'll be just leading our hosts through the website critique today. So just some housekeeping before we get started. This will be recorded. So just wanted to give everyone a heads up on that. And then we're going to take questions from the real random representatives that are here and Circadence at the end. So we're going to leave 10 minutes for questions. And then if the general audience has questions, hopefully we have time and we can answer those as well. We love our guests to use the chat and just cheer us on and comment on, add some commentary to what we're going through. So please be active in the chat, and you can put your questions in the chat or Q&A, whatever you prefer, but we'll see both. So today's event, as I mentioned, we have Dr. Sam Small, the Chief Security Officer at ZeroFox, here with us, bringing that end user perspective, and Jules Okafor, CEO of Revolution Cyber. I'll let them introduce themselves in a few minutes. This webinar should run the full hour. We're going to spend 20 minutes on each company. And then, as I mentioned, save some time for Q&A at the end. So without further ado, I'll let our wonderful guests and hosts introduce themselves. Jules, why don't you go first?
Oh, Jules, you're on mute.
I'll start by unmuting. I'm Juliet Okafor. I am the CEO and founder of Revolution Cyber. And a lot of what we do is internal marketing to the rest of the business about why security is so great. My background is I'm an attorney with 2 marketing degrees who also has spent about 20 years in sales. Thanks.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Jules, for joining us. I'm Sam Small. I'm the Chief Security Officer at ZeroFox. As Eileen mentioned, I do have a PhD in computer science, so very technically minded when it comes to looking at solutions and things like that. But I've also been an entrepreneur. My first job, actually, when I was 16, was making websites for customers of an ISP. So I've kind of done a little bit of everything, whether it's I've had to make the company's first website and unfortunately be our chief marketing officer when there were 3 of us, to being on the receiving end and evaluating companies and web pages, just trying to find a solution for either a client or customer of mine or for ZeroFox itself. And then obviously, being at a security software vendor, I think about a lot of these things as we create our own marketing material and as I assist with various marketing duties around our organization. So really excited to be here and very thrilled that we had 2 companies brave enough to let us take a look at their websites.
Thanks, and shout out to the marketing teams from Real Random and Circadence in the audience. Hi guys, thank you for volunteering. We're excited to. This isn't meant to be like a bash and like you're doing everything wrong. This is meant to be a critique and also, provide actionable feedback and also tell you what you're doing great. So we're going to bring a mix of both. We want to help you guys be successful. So it's going to be good. Make sure you take notes, and this will be recorded so you guys can get the recordings as well if you are multitasking like most marketers do. So today we will start with Real Random, which is a SaaS solution and entropy as a service company for physical random bit generation. So they mechanically randomize physical objects to produce completely unpredictable bits. And they use these bits to seed the generation of cryptographic keys, reducing risk of predictability in crypto systems and enabling good high cybersecurity. And then second, we'll get to Circadence, which is a cybersecurity training and education platform, serving companies so that they can train their employees and communities. All right, so I am going to pull up Real Random's website and we will start with them. Give me a second. All righty. You guys can see, right? Okay, so I like to start out with the homepage because as us marketers know, homepage is really, that's where you want to grab your visitor. You have like, I don't know, like 3 or 2 seconds to grab their attention with what you do, and keep them from bouncing. So let's start with Jules. Just at first glance, when you got on the site and started poking around and scrolling, just give some feedback on what your initial representation was of what they do. Were you able to, on their homepage, were you able to understand that? Did it take a little bit of poking around? Just start talking about that.
Sure. So what I'll say is upon landing on the site, I thought just from, the initial impression that Real Random and their branding was very bold and really in your face from the time you landed on the page. I also thought that it might have been helpful at the top to have had maybe a tagline or a slogan that really summarized really succinctly what it is the overall goal was, what you wanted people to understand from the very moment that they hit your page. I would also say that with regard to this, when someone lands on the page, you immediately want them to have a feeling. And so I don't think I understand what the feeling is that I'm supposed to have once I land on the page. But what I do love is the color. I think a lot of organizations, especially cybersecurity companies, focus on black and whites, and they focus less on really what their target buyer should be looking at and what could draw people in. So what I would say is overall, there's some kind of mixed messaging, and that I'm not clear from the very moment I land exactly what the organization is trying to communicate. But I think as I scrolled down, I was able to generate and gather some of that information. So I think the inclusion of the video immediately after is great. Maybe we could pull that up a bit. And then, like I said, the inclusion of color was a great add with regard to this particular website.
Yeah, I agree. I had similar feedback. What I always try to do with a header image is either add a scroller, so have like 1 to 3 different slides, maybe with my target audience or like my top services, because that's the first thing they see when they land, right? So it's really nice to have the branding and the logo here, but maybe add some imagery and a tagline, or a slider with 3 different taglines, just to help your visitors understand immediately like who you're targeting, are they your target, or what your top solutions and services are, so that they're like, oh, okay, this is something I'm interested in, let me keep scrolling. And another thing was, I don't know if it was just my browser, but when I originally went to the website, there was something going on with Adobe Flash Player and I had to update it. So I'm not sure if there's stuff on the back end that needs to be fixed for images to load, but just my 2 cents there. But I'll let Sam give his opinion as well.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. A lot of the same initial thoughts that Jules and Eileen mentioned. So again, I really love the the boldness, and the fact that there's like a palette. Like, so if you look at Jules right now, she's got like a beautiful color palette going on, like in her video camera screen. And I think like having a clear palette identity or color identity is really helpful, especially, hopefully post-COVID, if there is a post-COVID, when we go back to RSA or Black Hat and I'm on the vendor floor and I'm looking around, if I see that color scheme, I'm going to know that's Real Random, and I'm going to go towards the booth because, I was on their website and I want to talk to them, and it kind of sets them apart from all the other security companies that use black, white, and red. No shade to ZeroFox, by the way. So I just, I think, doing something a little different there was great. One of the things I love to do when I go to a website is I love to inspect the page and then change kind of the dimensions so I can see the whole page at once. And from that perspective, top to bottom, the page looks beautiful, laid out, well organized. I will say on my browser, when I looked at the page, the logo for the company, it was so big that it actually went below the fold. So when I first load the page, I couldn't even get the logo all on one page. And I think that's something that can be easily fixed just by kind of a little bit of JavaScript magic or SVG ratios or whatever. And then I agree that in addition to just seeing that big pop of the logo, we could maybe put a little bit of content alongside it. So above the fold, when we first load the page, we get some material or content. And I think, Eileen, the way you suggested, kind of sharing that space through some kind of scrolling panes makes a lot of sense. I also think that the video, like that concept of kind of like the lava lamps and changing things, I think was really nice and kind of made it quickly understandable, kind of what you're doing. I think maybe you could pull some of that into your logo. So maybe some of those colors could kind of move a little bit like the lava lamps that you mentioned in the video or something, just something to kind of give a feel to tie back to the product. And then from that point forward, I do have a lot of other comments, but I want to make sure I keep them appropriately in the right category as we discuss this. So maybe I'll just pause here and pass it back to our MC.
Yeah, absolutely. And a quick tip that that's a big trend in web design is even just adding, if you do have a big header image, adding a little arrow so people can click it and jump down so they know that there's more content and more useful stuff below. And then another point that I actually didn't write down that I meant to was you always have a logo in your top left corner so that when people are navigating to different pages, they can click your logo and it takes them back to the homepage. So what I would do is actually put the Real Random logo in the left-hand corner and then utilize that real estate in your header to really get across what you guys do and who you're targeting. And I think you'll be golden. The rest of the homepage, I mean, video is huge. As we know, no one's reading anymore. So 2 videos on the homepage is fantastic. I think you guys, a few optimizations on the homepage for your visitors within the first 5 seconds. And I think you guys will be in good shape.
Eileen, if I may real quickly, you reminded me of some other just brief comments. You mentioned a Flash issue, whether that was your browser or the specific page or Java, I'm not sure. But I will say, I'm not sure who the web host is for Real Random. And I don't know if maybe it was just the excitement and interest from this morning. But when I went back to the page this morning to load it, it took some time. I don't know if it was like a cold cache issue or something. So I would suggest maybe looking at hosting on like a S3 bucket or a CDN or something like that, so that if I am the first prospect to look at your page today, I'm not sitting there kind of waiting or refreshing or wondering what's going on. Just so you have that fast, consistent experience, because we know everyone they lose their attention span real quickly today.
Yep. Absolutely. Okay. So let's dive into solutions because this is the first thing that people are going to click when they land on the site. So when I clicked security solutions, I was expecting to be taken into onto a different page. So it's okay that it jumps to the bottom. It just seems light on content. So when I think of solutions, I think of sort of like a solution portfolio. Like I'm going to be able to download a data sheet or a white paper or something. So I think if you just separate your pages out, and also from an SEO perspective, the more pages you have mentioning the different solutions you have, the better you're going to rank, obviously, if users are finding your content useful. So Sam, if you want to go first.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I would say a few things there. So again, I love the video. I love how you tied it to kind of Cloudflare and all that kind of stuff. But if there's a chance for you to maybe recut the video, like don't be shy about pushing real random up front, right? I felt like it took a little while. You were telling a story, but it was almost like you were telling someone else's story. So tell your story and then draw it to someone's bigger balloon, maybe perhaps, by also showing the Cloudflare stuff. And in the chat, I know we're talking about that you guys might use dice and things like that. That's a cool, image or a kind of thing for me to take away visually and remember about your company, but I don't see it anywhere on the page yet. And then, I would also say, while video is great, not everyone's going to be in a place where they can watch the video when they load their page, wherever they are. So maybe try to recapture just some of those concepts in the text right below the video or along with the video, just to reinforce those things, so I didn't miss them completely if I didn't have a chance to watch the video. And then talking about content, there were some resources and white papers at the bottom of the page, and I'm so thankful you didn't have a paywall there for me. I was able to load them immediately. But I would say, to riff on Glenn Ross, always be branding. Like, none of those white papers, things that I clicked on, had your logo or had like a consistent kind of brand look and feel. I think that's something you could do really quickly and easily with the material you have. And that way, if it's sitting on my hard drive and I look at it later or I send it to someone else, it's really clear and there's a tie back to your website, and it shares that kind of strong branding that you've created on the website. So I'll pause for a moment and pass it to Jules.
Yeah, I completely agree with both of your comments. What I'll say is that even for myself, who doesn't presume to be highly technical, I think there could have been a lot more done with regard to simple language with regard to describing your solutions. So for instance, entropy as a service, I think will resonate once someone kind of understands where the direction you're going in. But I think we have to work on kind of leading people there and really breaking down, okay, what does entropy mean? So we want to maybe define some of the words. Multimodal, multi-factor authentication solution is great, but some more definition about what that means and how it works. And to, I think, Eileen's point, security solutions pages typically have subpages, and each service or offering could also have its own page with its own white paper and a case study. So I think what I'd love to see is, and like I said, I do love the video. I would love to see some more information that I can walk away from having seen your website and actually review later. And also, more and more buyers want to do as much research before they speak to anybody as possible. So you want to make this as much a self-service opportunity as possible, redirecting people once they've either come to a decision or have a question. So I'd love to see more of that with regard to this section.
Yeah, and if I could just pick up real briefly on what Jules was saying, again, there's a lot of concepts I loved here, but I still left just a little confused. I maybe have the assumption that this is an early stage company. I don't know if it is or not, but just because it's a single page and there's nothing really taking me anywhere else, I kind of assume that and accept. If that's the case, that's fine. If it's not the case, let's make it more clear by having more content and establishing more of a history. And I will say, again, I'm still just a little confused. Is this entropy as a service that I now have an API to get actual real random numbers generated? Is it a password creation and password management kind of thing? Is it both? So I am a little confused there, but I think that can be fixed really quickly. And I think overall, like, this is a really strong, very close to the finish line, like just last mile type stuff.
Completely agree. And what I'll also say is, your website really acts as the what solidifies you as an existing business. It is what makes you tangible in an operating company, because most times people will deal with you on a remote basis. The areas in which people use your website to build trust tends to be in your solutions pages, in your About Us pages, and then any of the other materials you create to support whatever your case is or why they should buy your product. So this page really is where I would spend more time. And like Sam said, it is kind of the last mile thing where it's like, we just need a few more details to understand what you're doing. But I definitely feel like the color scheme, the way in which the video reads, I think all of that creates a great initial impression. I think it really will be about, how do I make whoever the buyer is connect with what we're doing quickly? And then how do I make it so that I'm driving them to take the next action we want them to take? How do I guide them through the page with the information I'm sharing so that by the time they leave here, they both trust us or want to learn more?
Yeah, agreed. I have some other things to say, but Eileen, I want to be respectful of the time and schedule, so I'll pass it back to you.
Of course. I want to talk about call to actions and helping their visitors convert. I know I had a little bit of trouble. I'm used to just like user habit, going to the right hand corner and looking for a button of like request a demo or contact us or whatever it may be. So that is definitely missing, and I feel like that's a must have. So you guys could add that. And I mean, I think most user behavior, people go to the right hand corner to like see how they can get in touch. I know you have the contact up top, but it's always great to have multiple CTAs on your page. And then also I was expecting some sort of form when I clicked that. So I think it would be hard to expect people to actually figure, you don't want them to figure out how to get in touch with you. You want to make it as easy as possible. But I'll hand it over back to Jules. We could talk about CTA and what you thought, Jules.
Yeah, so as it relates to calls to action, just like Aileen said, I think the important thing is users no longer want to pick up the phone. So a lot of companies we're seeing do chatbots so people can communicate while they're searching your page. There's also, if people aren't really ready to establish a prolonged relationship, meaning they're not ready to buy, having something that asks them to subscribe to a newsletter or is asking them to perhaps, send an email for more information. So in my mind, with regard to priority communications, whatever you can have them do on the page is best. So a form is great because they're indicating to you that they're interested in receiving more information. You also perhaps can have them do a survey so you can collect what their thoughts are. Even if they don't decide that they want to buy, you can use that information to make better decisions about your products. And then you also want to figure out what are some ways that we can engage them while they're on the site. So you want to figure out Sam talked about a paywall. We don't want paywalls on our websites, but like articles that they can read, you're able to have them on there, take an action. And if you've got, technology on the back end, maybe be able to monitor, what pages they're going on and then be able to reach out for some additional interactions at a later point. But the more times you can actually create a touch point on the website, the better for you. And what you want to do is, front and center always have a way by which they can communicate with you, because a lot of buyers are impulsive and are acting in response to a problem they have, and they'll go with the first person who solves their problem. And you want to figure out, how do I get in front of them first? How do I get them to take an action quickest? And then how do I get in front of them? How do I ensure that they can connect with me as quickly as possible?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
all excellent points. And yeah, just briefly, again, I was looking, it took me a minute. I was looking at the bottom for an email address so that I could contact someone, or something like that. Cause I'm not going to call personally. And then, only having that email available, again, it always makes me pause. Like, do I really want to invest in this? And I'm not sure if I'm ready to share my email, or I just, or also, like on my phone and on my laptop, I don't use my default mail browser or a mail program. So if I were to click that link to get to email, then I'm annoyed because now I have to cancel out of mail or whatever and somehow copy it and go to Gmail. So again, like, show us the email address. I know it might create some sort of like bot traffic, but you could even just do a picture of your email address. Honestly, the best thing to do is like what Jules and Eileen mentioned, which is have a form. There are some sites that do that for free without having like a hosting component. I'm happy to share the ones I've used in the past. And again, I also get this feel here almost, and I don't mean to project, but having been an entrepreneur of a small company that grew, you're almost like shy or afraid to ask people to do things or buy things from you in the beginning because you're so nervous, or you're like, we're not ready yet. It's like you got to put all that aside and like you really want something on your page to grab someone's hand and drag them along the beginning of that journey, so that you can have a conversation with them and figure out, maybe this is the right solution for them, or maybe I educate them and we come back in 3 or 6 months when our roadmap reflects, their needs, et cetera. But you've done all this great work of generating kind of this brand and look and feel and sharing this information about who you are. Let's go again, that last mile and get me to do something. Whether it's send in a question or register for your newsletter or what have you.
Absolutely, all great points. Thank you guys. And I just want to answer some chat questions. So John's question was about the chatbot. Most chatbot services, John, have automation and live chat ability. So at Cybertar, we use Drift, and they actually have a startup program. So it's pretty affordable if you're not onboarding a ton of employees, giving them licenses and stuff. So I would look into Drift. There's Qualified. I know HubSpot has a chat. So you can implement some automation up front to figure out what the visitor is looking for. And then what you can do is it usually routes a live person in if that's needed. We have great success with live chat. I always chat in, I never pick up the phone and call. So I think it's just the way, the way user behavior is going. And then on the content, and then we'll move on. I know we're a little bit past time, but I wanted to get Sam and Jules' opinion. I think you can find a nice balance between what you gate and what you give for free when it comes to white papers and ebooks. I think if your team puts a lot of time into writing it and researching it and it's long form, I think it makes sense to gate, especially if you're a young company or you're a startup and you're trying to generate some MQLs and move people through the funnel. But it's usually, every organization is different on their content strategy. So that's something your team just needs to, figure out and brainstorm on what you want to do. But definitely give some stuff away for free. Obviously blogs are free. You want people to subscribe, but they're on your site behind the form. And then white papers, I've seen companies do different things. So definitely put some thought into that, but you have some good content on here. So definitely, optimize that with a more in-depth strategy. And just on website design and development, we have a really great Slack channel on vendor recommendations. So if you guys need help, or you're looking for someone, definitely, look in that channel. There's been a lot of people that have asked for web development and design. So you can get some recommendations in there. But Jules and Sam, just wanted to get your opinion on gated content versus not gated. When will you fill out a form? Will you ever, or do you never?
Yeah, Jules, I'll let you go first.
Oh, okay.
With regard to gated content, what I'll say is that I'm always trying to develop the long-term relationship and the long-term value of a customer. And I think sometimes the gating of the content creates an immediate friction and people will just go away. So what I suggest is that, to Aileen's point, if it's really light and it's about an introduction and really helps to explain what you do and actually provides the answers to questions that people typically ask, I'd say don't make people pay for that, because that only reduces your sales cycle to have that available and people reading it before they even speak to you. But if it's more in depth, if it's focused on a specific area and you've spent, months, years, lots of resources to create it, I would just be transparent about the fact that it is gated as soon in the interaction as possible. So for instance, I see a lot of companies who will put like a separate tab for things that are areas, things that you want people to pay for. So people know when they're going there to expect that. And then you separate out the things that are not paid for within your solutions pages or other pages that's clear to them. I think the key between gated and non-gated is how much are you looking to make the revenue today? Is it a part of your business plan? Or if it's something that leads to help explain better what you offer, my suggestion is not to gate if you can avoid it.
Yeah,
but collect information with their permission. Sorry.
Yeah, sure. And again, Yeah, and just to be clear for everyone, when we talk about pay, we mean pay with our personal information. Like if we ever went to a security vendor's website and they actually made us pay to read a white paper, we'd be long gone. But I agree with everything Jules said, and I think there's a couple different ways to do it. Again, don't make me fill out a form to kind of figure out, just learn more about what you do and why I might be interested. On the other hand, again, I totally understand, this is a cutthroat, industry. And I understand the concern of, well, my competitors will just come download every white paper and say everything I say and blah, 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 or I won't have any leads. So I think there's a few ways you can do it. Again, kind of separate them into buckets of kind of basic stuff, but things that indicate a more kind of qualified lead, paywall, gate those things. And then, if you have a web developer who can help you kind of track people's access to content, then do something that like an online newspaper would do, and let them download the first 3 or 4 things without any registration. And then on the 4th and 5th one, say, hey, it looks like you're really interested and we'd love to chat with you. Please fill out this form and we'll get in touch with you and also give you access, to this material. I think that's a more than fair way to do it. That wouldn't bother me if I'd already opened three PDFs and on the 4th one, like, okay, yeah, fine. It's clear we're forming a relationship here because I care about all your stuff. And then one tangent, just real briefly, because Eileen is scrolled over your names here. Show me your faces. Like, I'm a very visual person. If I ran into you at a conference before, like that'll trigger like, oh, I met Doug before, or I recognize him from that other company that he was involved in. And so, those faces, especially for your advisors and things like that, that can also generate a lot of trust beyond just continuing to see you and your accomplishments.
Yeah, that was the last point I was going to make. Is
you sorry,
the names and the titles. No, I'm happy you said it. Transparency, and authenticity is so important. So, add your LinkedIn profile picture. We actually have our avatar, our memojis at Cyvatar. So if people are camera shy, but just add some personality for sure to your about section. But overall, I think you guys have gotten some really key feedback. Nothing, not a lot of undertaking, just to make some tweaks and optimizations here and there, and you guys will be golden. So hang on. If you guys have questions at the end, we'll open it up after we do Circadence. All right, I'm just going to switch over to them. Give me a second. Okay. Hey, Circadence team. Thanks for coming today. All right, so we're gonna, pretty similar format. We'll start on the homepage. We also actually didn't cover mobile optimization on Real Random, so we'll get you guys feedback on that via email. I'm sorry, we ran out of time there. So Sam, why don't you start out with us? I'm loving their different, movement and different target demographics here when you land on the page. So why don't you kick it off, Sam?
Yeah, sure. So first thing, I love the call to action just right up front. Request demo, very clear. Like if I think I'm interested, this is for me here. So I think great job there. I will say that when I first looked at the site, a lot of sites use stock photos, and I will just say that there's nothing wrong with that necessarily. But here, I felt just a little bit of a disconnect between what the stock photos were for and what they were trying to kind of convey. And so, maybe there's a way to get more specific with the stock photos, again, because they're so focused on the individual that it's almost void of any context around why I'm seeing them. And then I think also when you look at mobile, and I will just say briefly, for Real Random, I didn't have any problems with mobile. It looked pretty much the same on desktop. When you look at mobile on Circadence's site, these things take up maybe more space than they should because of the way they're stacked. It's almost like I would maybe remove them in the mobile version or re-look at how I do that. But again, that being said, I loved how I could kind of sit here and read a few things without scrolling right when we hit the page. I think there's a lot of really great content on the page. There's a few things I would highlight and focus on differently than maybe when we get to the content part. I'll talk about that, but kind of start to top, everything's kind of there that I would want on that first page. And again, from a design perspective, maybe one thing I would look at in addition to maybe doing something a little different with the stock photos is spend just a little bit of time on the typography. So so I think there's an opportunity to offset some of these things visually a little more clearly. So like the request demo, I'm glad the call to action is there, but I feel like it could draw my eye a little better, maybe if it was a little bigger or that it was bolded a little stronger. And likewise, there's some chunks of text here on this front page where just like the line spacing between the sentences makes it hard to read quickly. And so I think just a little bit of a tweak there, and choosing a little bit more of a branded kind of typography strategy could go a long way.
Yep, absolutely. And Jules?
So I would say that I'm a bit biased, and I knew it was Circadence. I'm familiar with Circadence in that I actually worked with them on a program in Vegas 2 years ago where I was hosting with the women of Cyber Jitsu. And the technology and the experience does not match the website. So if I've experienced your company sort of live and seen what fantastic things you guys do with regard to, really creating these simulated environments, the website doesn't give me the same feel. Now, I understand that can be confusing because you're trying to reach multiple audiences at the same time, but maybe the way to do that is similar to what Sam said. If we scroll up, if we're at the top, in the classroom should have an image that reflects who you think the target buyer is for that, or the prospect is for that service or suite of solutions. In the armed forces, who do you think is buying those products? Let's have another image reflective of that kind of person. What would they want to see? And what experience are you trying to create for them? And then on the job, how might that be different? And what I'll say is, here, I would say you come off like a traditional training and staffing company, or even an HR company. But in real life, the things that you all do is wonderful. And I just kind of wish I saw that from the page, immediately upon arriving. What I'll say though is, and maybe this is shooting forward, when you go to Project ARIS, when you go to that page, if you could click on it, this has more of the feeling of what the experience typically is. I'll go to Teach Cyber, I guess. Oh, no, sorry, go to, sorry, keep going. Where was it?
Try.
Yeah. So that's my experience with your organization. I think bringing that to the front of to your homepage would be brilliant, because I think it draws the eye. It goes, okay, so wow, who are these guys? What are they doing? So I'll tell you, as I went through each of the pages, the tabs, it almost felt like it was 4 different websites, 4 different companies. They didn't all give me the same feel. They weren't consistent across all 4.
And if I could just reiterate Jules' point, I 100%, like once I got to the part on the page where it talked about gamification, I was like, gamification is a cool concept. And like, that's what I kind of like, your page doesn't need to look like it's Halo or anything like that, but there's a way to show that, like, show me that like there's kind of this reinforced learning that is fun and it kind of hacks my psychology into learning. Like, I think that is what is so exciting about what Circadence is doing. And I would love to kind of have that kind of fresh digital first feel, rather than kind of like Jules said, it does feel like a very traditional, almost like a law firm or HR site if you squint your eyes and don't really read the text. So if there's a way to kind of pull that forward, I think that could be really great. Some other comments, but again, I think we'll save that for content strategy. Maybe one quick thing about navigation. I did hit some dead links at the bottom of the page. And so you might just want to take a look at that as well. Like I think our blog here was a 404, but if I go to the blog elsewhere on the site, I was able to actually hit the blog. And so a few things like that, just minor things.
Yeah, and just as we were scrolling through, I thought the same thing. I thought Project ARIS was so cool, grabbed my attention right away. Maybe your request demo could say like, start gaming or be something fun like that, because it goes with your brand. And again, you don't have to make your whole homepage about Project ARIS, but it deserves a section. It looks like you guys put a ton of work into it. I think the landing page is fantastic. So show that off, own it, add it. You want people to see that when they land. You have like less than 10 seconds to keep a user on your site.
Yeah,
So
and maybe this video should be on the homepage as well, because I think that until I hit this video, I didn't, I maybe didn't really get it, and maybe it could be recut to be a little shorter for the homepage. But and one other like technical, just minor thing, when you hit play on the video, you guys started off with default mute on. If I hit play, I think you should assume that I want to hear the audio, because it took me a second and I had to go looking for it, and it was a little distracting. So if someone, I don't want to auto play audio when I go to a website, but if I hit play, like don't, that I want to hear it.
Yep.
And then I would also say for Project Aries, so I think Angelia is indicating that it's Aries, like the astrological sign. We might want to make that clear, because then you'll have a bunch of people mispronouncing the name.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah. And one other thing I also remembered from the video is, kind of had different screens at the end showing kind of Project Aries, and then it was a circadian screen. I'd love to see the co-branding, so you start to develop the connection in my head that Project Aries is circadian. So I think it's okay to have a product that's different from the company name, but everywhere that you can, try to connect them in some way, whether through a shared design element or just having them co-located.
Yep, I agree. And then on CTA, I saw login in the corner, so that to me that was like, okay, there's some sort of platform or something. So definitely have a sign up and like give people just a free, even if they don't get any features and can't use the platform, have a sign up button and allow them to create an account and just poke around. That is, an easy way to get people, sales qualified leads.
And I think that's a really great point, because I get like going back to just to real random for a moment. Like when you show me that login button, what is that? That implies to me you have customers. So like, I'm already like, okay, like it's kind of building trust, right? Like they have a login, like they must have customers. And so, even if real random is working on their first or fifth or 10th customer, maybe a login page is good if it's a psychological trick as well.
Absolutely. Let's pop over to the resource center. So Angela says login is for our customers to access platform. Yeah, so great to have login, maybe offer up a freemium version where people can just create an account and poke around at what the platform has to offer. So I felt like the resource center, like the homepage was, like I was not as excited, but then I got to this awesome resource center and I thought, the branding was really cool. I love the colors. Real Random and Circadian both have really vibrant colors that drew me in. So Jules, why don't we start with you on resources?
Yeah, I think the abundance of information, I think also the ease of navigation on this page is amazing. I love, like I talk about engagement all the time. I think even, the slight movement of the characters on the page kind of draws people in and makes people want to see more. What I want to see is, how do we introduce some of these characters on the homepage so that it feels like this is one design, and then you've got their homepage, its own design. Maybe you can have a character turn into one of the stock images, be made into one of these characters. I've actually done that in one of the campaigns that we've built out, where we've actually turned a regular person into a superhero. But that would tie in some of your pages. I think they feel really disconnected now. This resource center altogether, though, I think was well done. And I think, like Sam said, there were some links I thought that didn't work, so I would check on those. But overall, I thought it did what it was supposed to do with regard to making me feel like there's information I can gather. That it makes it seem like you guys have a company because you've got some things you have to say and you filled those sections. But also, I love the characters.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And you very clearly, from this first image on the left, you get the idea this is a journey, right? This is an education journey. And I love that. And again, like, yeah, maybe these characters could replace the stock photos on the front page, but this to me feels very like cool and fresh and unique to your company. So like, if there's a way to consistently carry this over the page, that would be great. One of the things I might be projecting because I don't know a lot about the company, but I get the impression this company's been around a while. And so sometimes when that happens, you have design drift through like multiple iterations or generations of people and projects and things that you're doing, or just fads in design over time. And so if there's a way to step back and make it cohesive, I think that will really help. And then I hope I'm not jumping ahead here by saying, like kind of related to this, when I did look to read about the company, like this company's been around for a long time, like I think in the late 90s or something like that. So what I would love to see on the front page is not just what we do, but like brag about your success. Tell me why, like, I should have been signed up with you a year ago. Like, tell me about some of the results or share some of the feedback from your customers. Because if you've been in business this long, you're obviously doing something right. But I will just say, from just looking at the webpage of like Real Random versus Circades, I don't know which one necessarily has been around longer. I mean, obviously there's clues here that, there's a ton of great content, but like in addition to telling me who you are, like you got to also tell me why I'm missing the boat by not having you as a partner or a vendor, et cetera.
Yeah. And I think that you can tell that it's stocked, and the idea is that it's supposed to be professionally done, but we don't know who the people are. I don't know who.
Yeah, there's no leadership page I could load.
Exactly.
Yeah,
well, there's an about us page, I believe, but it's also kind of buried. And then it goes back to this very traditional look feel. What I think is, with regard to your history, I think it. And not to be discriminatory in any way, but I think young, hip, fresh for gaming should be the goal. People who are buying this, they're thought leaders, they're innovative. They kind of want young, hip, cool. So pulling some of the areas that you have in Project Aries and then also on your resource center into the broader areas of your website for consistency and telling a story of who you are would be great. Like I said, your goal is engagement. And you've got to, I think one of the best things you could do is actually pull in some of the events that you've done, because I haven't forgotten you guys since I interacted with you. So I think that would be something that would be helpful as well.
That's a great point. I would love to see like maybe like a short video cut of like some of the younger faces who have maybe done some of the materials like right afterwards, and It was really great. It was really neat. I had no idea that that's how that worked, and I'm super excited and enthused to go learn more or read more or study this or wherever they are in their educational journey. I think some of that kind of testimonial, I think really, when it comes to education, really reinforces that you guys understand epistemology and curriculum development and how to deliver it, and that there's a success at the end of the engagement.
Absolutely. We have a few minutes, so I want to get through this page. So first impression was really long form. Yes. You can use there's a lot of data appending tools out there where you can collect someone's email address and name, and then that tool will fill in the rest of the information. More fields on the form, less likely to fill out the form and bounce. So you can have, if you guys have a BDR team or inside sales, or even, it doesn't take long for your sales reps to ask a few of these questions. So I would definitely simplify the forms, or, have a chat bot as well, because that's just a quicker way to collect information. And same here, I thought you could incorporate those fun illustrated graphics that you had on your resource library in here, because this lady, I feel like she's super awkward the way she's standing. So little tweaks like that are just more inviting. And I feel like, I'd be like, okay, this is a cool hip company. I'm gonna, or I'm gonna fill out the form and learn more.
Yeah, I think we almost have two interesting stories here where we have like one website, one company that has a lot of really great content and just needs a little help with tweaking the design, and another company that it got the design right really, early on, and they just need to build out some more content. So it's just a nice kind of complementary situation we have here.
Yep. And what I'll say is, on this page, what is the number one thing you want people to do? Because I think you almost give people too many options. And what you want to do is pick the one that either reduces the amount of work the person has to do in order to connect with you, or increases the lead time for your sales team. So the goal of the website also is to generate revenue, generate leads, create a pipeline. So having them on this page go to frequently asked questions kind of redirects them away from what you want them to actually do, which is to contact people. And then you have your support page here too. I think you should separate that out for clients and have a client section where clients know exactly where they can go for support. There also typically is a partner page where partners can go. I just think you need to drive new prospects, contact our sales team, send us an email, fill out a form. That's the only thing that should be on the page so that people aren't distracted when they're coming to this page.
Yep, I agree. And then one point of feedback I had on this was no one knows what Project Aries is. So maybe instead of having that as the title of your menu item, maybe have it like, and I don't know the word to phrase it right now, but like I'm teaching cyber 2 ... And then you could have like military personnel in the classroom to my organization. And then those pages can break out into, for those different audiences to learn about your services for each.
Yeah, or maybe even something just, and I know it's kind of boring because everyone has it, but like maybe solutions. And then when it drops down, Project Aries, and then,
Right.
It says just maybe a little blurb and, or who am I? Or yeah, like exactly, kind of either try to target me towards a particular solution or a particular demographic.
Exactly. And also titles of menus rank like the highest in SEO. So even if you made it cybersecurity awareness training for ... cybersecurity training for, that'll get picked up in, the search engine, and just better for people to land on your page. But I think everything around Aries is fantastic, and you guys need to like bump that up a lot and be more in your face about it. I think it seems like you guys put a ton of creativity and work into it. So I think you can do a lot with it for sure. Any last comments, Jules and Sam, to wrap up?
No, I want to reiterate something Jules said earlier, which is just like, every time I go to a company's page, I always kind of want to read about their leadership. I know the folks from Circadian said that they just took it down briefly to redesign it. But that always, again, helps build trust. Like, oh, I see this person's been in education or ed tech or technology for this many years. And so, it gives me a sense of trust that, if I'm going to partner with these people, that they have the backgrounds and the experience to really kind of pull this off and help my organization achieve our goals.
Absolutely. And last point on conversions, I'm a big fan of contact us or reach out, because not everyone's going to want to request a demo. I think it's not fair to assume that like, oh, I'm interested in your product, I want a demo. Sometimes people just want to talk and find out your pricing and stuff. So it's okay to have 2 CTAs on your homepage, request a demo, or not ready for a demo, reach out to our team. Let's have a 30-minute phone call, and we can, you can learn more. So I think giving people an option is never hurts. Okay, so we are going to open up the floor for questions. So we'll let Real Random go first. We have about 7 minutes. So if there's anyone from the team still on, if you want to raise your hand, and I can allow you to talk. So I'm not sure if Doug and John are still here. Okay, yep, here's Doug. Here we go, allow talk. All right, Doug, you should be good.
Except he's on mute.
Have to unmute yourself.
Oh, hey, Doug.
Hey.
Thank you, guys. This has been really great. A lot of good feedback. We're actually in a mode of producing a new video, and we'll be using that narrative to build out a new site. But based on the comments, it seems like we're a lot further along than we thought. So thank you. My question is, in terms of the About Us section, is it more interesting or engaging if there's some video content around that? Or should we just stick with 2 to 3 sentences and then the LinkedIn profile? And obviously photos.
Jules, I'll let you respond first.
Yeah, I if you can do video, that's even better. But I would add some text just because people may not be in a position where they can watch the video, but
Right.
Then they can come back to the video. If they weren't able to, they can go, oh, they have video, let me go back and see. I'll tell you from my website, the comment we get all the time is, oh yeah, I took a look at some of the things you did in the past. Oh, I thought that was so interesting. So people are looking for reasons to connect with you. The video allows them to do that. And so I would add that if you could on the About Us page.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I would love to see like the bio information and that kind of the basic general stuff in text. But then if there's a video where you're kind of talking about like what's Doug's passion for starting this and doing this, and is there a story behind it, what happened, or that's the kind of stuff I love to watch a video about, something that's like a little compelling. It makes me feel like I know you a little bit better.
Right. Okay.
And one of the companies I work with, actually, Doug, if you could have your team talking to each other and video that, like you guys can have a session, because I know, like I worked previously for a company called Habituate, and the two co-founders were communicating to each other, and you could see why they both got into it. So I think that also helps, just so you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
Even I love when I land on a website and the bios are funny. So like, Doug enjoys long walks on the beach and, throwing sticks for his dog, like adding some personality and humanizing it. I always appreciate a good, funny bio. So
you can make it real random, I guess.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. Any other questions?
No, that's really all I had. I am very thankful. So what we're going to do is incorporate these comments. I made a bunch of notes, and when we're done, then we'll push it back to you folks, and you can give us thumbs up or thumbs down.
Yeah, happy to help always.
Fantastic. And utilize the Slack community,
Right. Okay, I'm in the Slack channel.
Stuff.
Yes.
Reach out to me and Maria and Gianna directly. We're here to help. We love this stuff.
Awesome. Okay, thank you for setting this up, Eileen.
Thanks, Doug.
Take care. Thank you, Jules. Thank you, Sam. All
right, Circadian's team, if any of you guys want to raise your hand if you have any questions or comments. Let's see, we have Israel. I'm going to promote you to panelist and allow you to talk. And Shiro. All right, you guys. Good.
Hi guys, this is Israel at Circadians. Thank you very much for the amazing feedback you just provided. This was really interesting, and we're so happy that now we realize that we have a lot of field to work on. I would like to make a specific question, and it's about the homepage, where we try to focus on, well, when we renew the site, we try to focus more on people, on the people that we're looking to talk with, instead of talking about us and our product. Because yeah, we trust a lot and we love our product, but we don't want to be these show-off guys that say, okay, this is what we're doing, and we have amazing images and amazing screenshots and experiences and whatever. So what we tried first was to make people identify themselves with one of the personas we're talking to. How would you balance these that you mentioned between showing our main product and at the same time people to identify with it from the homepage? That will be my question.
Oh, Jules, you're on mute. It sounds like you have some great ideas though.
So what I'd say is it's kind of an exercise where you draft personas, right? So for each area that you're looking to focus on, really put together the ideal customer, their demographic information. Who are they? What do you think that they like to do? What is the reason that they would buy this? So what's driving the decision to buy? How old are they? Male, female, predominantly. And that allows you to create a imagery, messaging, and then colors scheme that is designed to draw that person in without having to have them see themselves actually quite literally. So the idea is, if you're, let's just say you were trying to have me purchase, because I'm a buyer of your solution. I'm wearing bright colors, so I like bright, right? I'm also, you should all guess I'm 20 years old, very young. And so what I want to see is like lots of cool games. I want to see images of people doing cool, things outside in the world. And the gamification solves this major problem. So essentially it helps to teach me cybersecurity. So at the end, I feel like, oh, I've done this. And as an outcome of this, I'm actually smarter somehow. you want to figure out the combination of images, text, video that actually makes me connect with your website, not with having me see myself. You want to actually do what you can beforehand to understand me enough to know what I would like. And that's what you're trying to do. And remember, it's about your job, Sir Cadence, is to create the experience from the very interaction people have with your website. So what experience could you create for me, this targeted buyer, on your site?
Yeah, and
Awesome.
if I have time, I'm just trying to be wary of the clock here. But yeah, I will say, it's great to hear kind of what you were trying to accomplish, and I think it's just about iteration, right? So I think you chose very specifically to focus on the people, and just by way of the way the stock photos, they're not real people. It's like an uncanny valley a little bit, but those images you have like in the resource center, those represent people, and so it's a little more abstract. So I think what you could do is you could kind of like use those and focus on kind of what happens when I use Project Aries, or when I go through that education process. So, show me maybe some of those figures in an action, kind of in different actions or whatever, and maybe with some kind of heads up display type things you expect in a video game, like a, +1 or plus 5,000 points, or, something there. And then below you can show me more about the product. But that gives me a sense of like, okay, these are, maybe one of those figures is in fatigues when you are talking about the military education, and maybe one of them is a little bit younger or smaller to represent, if you're doing education, it's not exactly tied to, exactly what's in each Project Aries kind of program or journey.
Awesome. Yeah.
Great. I'll just add your personas can identify like, oh, iPhone, I have an iPhone.
Yeah. Or maybe even like a cool kind of time series graph kind of showing like someone's progress as they go through, Project Aries or something, like, something alongside of that person, just to show that like, over 3 months or 6 months, they gained all these new skills, or, et cetera, right? They learned about these new things, or they were able to, or even just a success story.
So I saw you guys won an award. That's a proof point. You don't have to say we're so amazing, we won this award, but Sir Cadence was voted or chosen or whatever. And if you have testimonials, this.
Yeah, and you could share in our success.
Exactly.
And I want to say that I think a lot of it seems I think this will require you to be more abstract and